Oh, but I'm so. How did you enjoy it watching it again? Because I know sometimes we watch movies that we've already seen a bunch of times. We don't watch it with the same critical eye as when we're enjoying them just for fun, or not watching or not enjoying them the first time we see them. So, how do you feel like you enjoy or
you want to discuss this before we move into the intro?
Never mind.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to No Collar Entertainment. This is Matt.
This is Ariane.
This is Juice. And we are back once again with Scary Spooky Side Chick Tuesday. That's right. We are back with
again.
2 episodes this week.
Yep.
The first one being Ariane's pick. And we have done
Little shop of horror, little shop of terror. I don't know the words.
I didn't need to get that in. So, Ari, with that being said, how about you break down your pick for this week?
Okay, so Little Shop of Horrors, I'm going to do Wikipedia because I haven't really thought about it very much. It's a horror comedy musical, because there's so many of those. Directed by Frank Oz. I'm learning a lot of stuff watching this film that I didn't realize, like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's why I love this film.
Of course.
It's directed by Frank Oz, the adaptation of the 82 off-Broadway musical of the same name, by composer Alan Menken of several Disney movie fame.
That's right.
As well as Howard Ashman, also of several Disney movie fame. May he rest in peace. And so, like, it is an adaptation of the 1960 film of the same name as well. And this movie has basically everyone, like, all your who's who from, like, the 80s.
Basically, if they were in Saturday Night Live in the late 80s, to an extent, they were in this movie.
I mean, yeah, you have Rick Moranis, the lead character, Ellen Green. I'll be honest, I'm not as familiar with her work. Which I'm going to check real quick, whatever else she's done. Honestly, there doesn't seem a whole lot of thing from her. Nope, not a whole lot of shit from her, but I mean, she's done stuff, I just am not as familiar with her. I think she's more, theater. Probably has more theater background, which is why I may not know her. Vincent Gardenia, also kind of like a dude, he had some success. I'm not as familiar with a lot of his work either. But you have Steve Martin, Jim Belushi, John Candy, Bill Murray, and those are some. Oh, and then of course we cannot forget the background muses of Tashina Arnold and Tisha Campbell. And I'm so sorry I'm blanking on the third lady's name. The main reason I know the other two are because they were from Martin. But anyway, so Michelle Weeks. That was the other girl's name.
Yep.
Okay, so this movie came out in 1986. It was released around Christmas. It had a budget of $25 million. And while it actually did not perform as well, it only grossed $39 million, so it still made its money back, but not as much, obviously. But apparently, it also became a smash hit upon its home video release in '87 on VHS and Beta. Rotten Tomatoes has it at a score of 91%, which is fair, with an average rating of 7.4. And Metacritic has it at 81%. So generally speaking, this movie is rated highly by critics as well as audiences. You can try not like, according to Richard Corliss of Time, you can try not liking this adaptation. It has no polish and a pushy way with a gag, but the movie sneaks up on you about as subtly as Audrey 2. And so the audiences polled by Cinema Score gave the film an average grade of about A- on a scale of A+ to F. Accolades, it was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Mean Green Mother from Outer Space was actually the first Oscar-nominated song to contain profanity in the lyrics, and it was the first song to be sung by a villain. The film's other Academy nominations was for Best Visual Effects. Neither of those yielded a victory, but it was nominated for stuff. Trying to think of anything else I want to kind of throw out there. I'm sure there's other stuff. There was talk of a remake in 2020 with Scarlett Johansson to play Audrey, and Billy Porter as Audrey 2. Like, I'm kind of really happy that they haven't done anything with it, but that it's still being developed by Warner Brothers with Chris Evans in talks to play Dr. Scrivello, which I
can see that actually.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, I could see it too.
I'm gonna be upset if they. Okay, Bay 2021, it was postponed indefinitely.
Thank
And
God.
in 2022, it was announced and been canceled.
Thank God.
I'm gonna be real honest about one of the reasons why I don't want that to happen, but it's gonna be one of my greats. So and I'm gonna leave that for later.
Okay.
So do we want to talk about anything else?
Initial
Reactions. Okay. Oh, can I forget? Of course. I'm so sorry. Levi Stubbs from the fucking Four Tops, who was the voice of Audrey. Sorry, I cannot believe I let that person off. Okay, go ahead.
Juice, go ahead.
This movie's a fucking fever dream. It's fun. This movie is kind of a shut your brain off, enjoy the music, ignore everything that's kind of happening because some things kind of don't make sense. But I found myself enjoying it. The horror aspect of it is, I mean, it's the creature feature for the most part. But no, this movie has a whimsy about it. I don't know if that's the correct term, but it has a whimsy about it. There is a charm, and it's a good time.
Welcome in, Strange.
Yeah. So that's what I will say. Next.
I'll let you go, baby.
It's alright.
You fucking.
And this isn't to troll Ari or anything like that. It's just this film is not really up my alley. It's got good jokes in it. It's a solid, okay movie. The rewatchability for me is not very high. Special effects don't age well. Can you give me that pillow, please?
No, why?
Please?
Why?
So I have something to guard myself with.
No. Get your own damn pillow.
Okay, let me get the name right.
Aha!
Thank you. And that's why.
That's why I'm the side chick.
So to be 100% honest, Ellen Green, who is still a good actor and has her place, her voice annoys me a little bit, and I don't really like her in a leading role. Her place is literally a damsel, an object in this movie. It doesn't have a whole lot of autonomy. So, as someone who has taught me about characters having autonomy and not being objects, I figure you at least appreciate that critique.
You think that, right?
Some shining lights. Rick Moranis can do no wrong. Steve Martin can do no wrong. And Bill Murray has probably my favorite Bill Murray cameo in this movie.
Yeah.
It's up there with Zombieland, but I think this one's funnier to me. And Bill Murray, I'm not like a big fan of.
Well, here's the thing. Bill Murray in Zombieland is Bill Murray.
Yeah.
He's playing himself.
And that's why he probably doesn't get the cameo award on that one.
Right.
He gets it on this
Exactly.
one. But as not a huge Bill Murray fan, because don't get me wrong, I know he's talented.
Yeah.
I would watch a Billy Crystal movie over Bill Murray.
Really?
Yeah.
I
can't take my eyes off the screen when Billy Crystal's on the screen.
Maybe I just haven't watched the right Billy Crystal movie.
And it's maybe just a matter of comic taste. There's 1,000 different comics. There's 1,000 different comic deliveries.
I don't know. I think
styles.
I think my Bill Murray bias is mostly Ghostbusters and slightly What About Bob.
And Bill Murray is not, to me, the funniest part of Ghostbusters. He's not even close. If anything, I feel like Bill Murray's the straight man in Ghostbusters. To me.
That's wild.
We'll
yeah, that's a discussion for another time. But anyway.
Okay, so with all that being said, it's an okay movie. I can watch it every now and then. I know my wife loves it, so every once in a while I'm gonna have to sit down and watch this movie. It has a couple good songs. It's okay. It's not like a bad movie. The special effects do not hold up at all. Besides, some of the plant talking is fine. That final explosion is so god awful. it's almost anticlimactic. It almost hurts to watch.
Wow.
The Death Star blowing up is better than that. And that was 10 years before this.
Yeah, he's right.
So I'm just saying.
No, you're right.
I'm just saying. So it's okay. So that's where I'm at. Go ahead, baby.
All right. So
with no personal attacks on me, just your personal impressions of the movie.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So, to your point specifically about the her being a damsel, so forth and so on. Little Shop is, and I'm looking at this specifically. Like, I was pretty sure that's what it was, but I'm looking for verification. Little Shop can be seen as a critique of capitalism. It's also a commentary on the social expectations for both men and women in the era.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she is very much kind of like this damsel who dreams of having like this perfect like cookie cutter lifestyle that was what would be expected of you in that time frame and that sort of thing. Like that's what she's looking for. She's after this one incredibly abusive relationship because it is a relationship. That is the only reason why she pursues it. But I'm not gonna go into like going deep into Audrey as a character. She is a foil to a certain extent for the main character, but the point is that is the point kind of thing. Like it's done intentionally. It isn't just like we're just gonna throw her in there because we need something for the guy to do. Like no, she's actively involved in the story, and that is her damsel. That's her point to be. That's literally what she has been.
So wait, it's okay to have the damsel and the object as long as you mean for it to be a damsel and an object?
She is autonomously a damsel. Yes, that's the whole point. Is to demonstrate the limitations with that kind of relationship, like the kind of that experience. Like they're all seeking.
That is a rough argument.
They're all seeking the joys and splendors that capitalism promise. While also engaging in this Faustian covenant where I'm going to give up the things that I know is important to me to get something else that I think I'm supposed to want. So I'm going to give up my health to be in this relationship with an abusive guy because at least it's a guy. I'm going to give up, I'm going to kill people just to get riches. Like that sort of thing. Like I'm trading something that I know I shouldn't be trading to get something else because I've been told this is what I'm supposed to have.
We've been together 12 years. In 12 years, we have critiqued movies together.
Yes.
And talked about movies together. And this is the first time you have ever defended the damsel character.
That's not true.
That is 100% true.
I don't think that's true.
You always critique it. And this time you're defending it.
Would you like to know why?
Because you love this movie and you're biased?
No, that's not entirely part of it. One of the reasons why I love this movie is also there's a deeper meanings that I did not explore when I was younger that I understand better now.
Okay.
And one of the deeper meanings is the idea that, one of the problems with a lot of times the damsel character is that she is, this movie as well, it's written by a guy. And it's not understanding that she has her own desires and whims. She's simply there to exist for the guy. That's the case in this one. She exists for the guy, but also has her own desires. But she also provides a mirror version of what his experiences are. Like in capitalism or in this 50s world, 60s, whatever that we live in this society, guys are supposed to be successful, have money, and be famous and stuff like that, and be masculine. I can have a motorcycle, make everyone else turn green, and blah blah blah. This guy looks like he is he's got a successful business, and he's also tough and everything. He's also fucking abusive. Whereas on her side, I'm just want to be Donna Reed. I'm just want to live this life that's from Better Homes and Gardens magazine. It's a farce. It's not real. It doesn't really exist for most people. That's probably why in the original story they both die. They die in the pursuit of their dreams that they were really supposed to have in the first place. They just loved each other and just saw them for each other, as opposed to what they were being told by the world that they're supposed to go for. Then they would have been fine, but they didn't. In this version, unfortunately,
would have been better if they both died.
Yes. However, I'm also okay with the end sequence that got nominated for an Academy Award.
So I'm also deducting from my score the fact that they caved to money over story, which all studios are guilty of in their own way.
Yeah.
But there are some that stick it to the studio and do it their way anyway. and become classics too.
Well, this isn't just the studio. This is the audience. This is like, it wasn't like those fellas. The audience came like, this was a great movie. We should do it this way. And the studio's like, yeah, but we're gonna do it this way instead. That's not what happened. They were trying to give the audience what they actually fucking wanted. The audience didn't like the scene that they provided for them. And maybe it's a matter of execution. Maybe it's because they're like, it's too dark. And they're like, okay, well, let's make something lighter. And then they did. But the idea was that it wasn't just so much as a studio caving to the whims or something like that. It was, they're giving the people what they fucking wanted. And they came up with a really good song that also got Academy Award nominated and was a first in a lot of ways. So, but whatever. I'm just trying to point out my observations with this movie, having had time to sit and think about it.
Okay.
And with regards to like the themes that it's trying to promote with it.
Okay.
So, all that said, I fucking love this movie. I've always loved this movie. I've been watching this movie since I was a fucking kid. I remember, like, it's one of those musicals like I remember growing up with. Like,
Okay.
I would know the words without really like looking at the screen or anything like that. Like we sang it throughout our childhood, sort of thing.
You were singing it throughout the entire watch through.
I absolutely was.
And that just goes to show how much you actually enjoy this movie.
And I've mentioned a couple times to Matt and Juice here in the room that when I was in high school, our high school actually put this on. And that was fun also. Like, we were all like excited to see it, to be part of it. But yeah, this is a really important movie for me. I was getting up for Tully, I think, but she's fine. So yeah, those are my
Okay.
observations.
So let's get to the good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Juice, go ahead.
Sure.
I know Strange was saying a few things, so we want to get to
Actually, it was at the old comments. They just kind of flashed back.
Okay.
Supa is here with
Hi,
us.
Supa!
He says feed
He
me
does say
Seymour.
to feed him. And then Strange just said something right now.
Strange also said, once again, Matt is on the wrong side of history / reviewing.
Yeah, he did say that.
Which, so be it. And then he just said, I don't have a lot of musicals in my watch history, but this is one of the few I do have. Love this movie.
Thank you, Strange.
Okay,
Go ahead, Juice.
so the good for me, I think the music is phenomenal. I think they do a really great job. Everything musically, I think is good. It's very, very good, very, very strong. Strong musical performances for the most part. I think the effects on Audrey, especially as it gets bigger, I for the most part I enjoy them. I think they're really well done, especially once it gets to a certain size. And I don't know if this is because the movie has been remastered, but there was a point in the film, actually when Seymour first discovers that Audrey can talk, a lot of
Audrey 2.
Audrey 2. I'm sorry, Audrey
Audrey
2.
is
Yes,
character.
Audrey 2. Sorry. When Seymour discovers that Audrey 2 can talk, it looks like they remastered some of those far away shots, so it looks a little bit cleaner.
Probably.
I doubt it, but okay.
I mean, that's how it look. That's how it looks.
I'm sure they remastered it, but like I promise it looks identical to me.
Because it will. You know, of course it will.
Well, the remaster, then you shouldn't be able to tell the difference.
You probably should have, but I've never seen the original version of this
Okay.
movie. And if this is still the original version of this movie, then holy shit, that is some amazing fucking puppetry
That's
they did.
great. That's honestly my fucking
Right, that is some amazing fucking puppetry that they did in 1986.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
it-
possible though, because it's Frank Oz.
I mean, that is the master of puppetry. I mean, this
Well,
is
and Jim Henson.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna figure out puppetry, it's gonna be
right. But
Yeah.
Frank Oz was fucking Yoda.
Well, and
Yeah.
and Kermit. No, not Kermit.
No.
Who else was he? He worked with Jim Henson.
He worked with him a lot.
Yeah, he worked with him a
So
lot.
stuff, yeah.
So they so there was a lot of collaboration, but no, the puppetry on Audrey 2 is, I think it's fantastic. The social commentary, I think still kind of is present to this day, even though this movie and this movie, the time frame is like 50s, 60s ish.
It's in the 60s, so they say Kennedy is the president.
Okay, so it's in the 60s,
Like
and
early
it
60s.
still kind of applies to this day.
Yeah, the movie came out in '86. The original version was made in 1960, and the setting for this film is in 1960 something.
Yeah, it's the social commentary on it is how and if I remember right, because there's a lot going on and I'm trying to process everything. The lower class goes to work for the upper class, and they still come back to essentially little to nothing, while the upper class continues to just
shut up, man.
Basically.
Yeah.
And that's still true to this day. Like you mentioned earlier with Audrey, her dreams of wanting something better, the chain link fence and a yard. That's the American dream. So that's it's still present. Well, I think this even through song, the movie does a really good job of telling that view.
Yep.
I think is what I want to get at. Which I wouldn't have expected from a horror comedy with a giant talking plant monster.
Well, and I could comment on that here in a second if you will allow me.
Absolutely.
So the original, I'm trying to look up the information.
Oh, right. Right, I forget this is based on an original movie.
The original movie, yeah. They're, God, I'm looking it up. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I had it just a second ago. I switched with Windows. Go ahead, keep talking. I'll just
sure.
when I can.
Honestly, and that's kind of it for my good. I don't really have a lot else that I can break down in a narrative perspective. I think most of the performances are great, or are good. I think I'll be honest, the cameo performances are probably like some of the really are really up there in the good, and Rick Moranis. Actor that plays Mr. Mushnick,
Vincent, I forget.
Where have I seen him in?
Not a whole lot.
Okay, because I feel like I've seen him in something else around.
You
that
probably
time.
have, but I don't remember what else he was in. I was looking at his information a second ago. There wasn't a whole lot that.
So I think that's going to be it for my good. If you have it, go ahead before I turn it over to Matt.
Okay, well I'm just going to jump in. So one of the synopses that describes the original from the 1960 film is that it's produced under the title "The Passionate People Eater." The film employs an original style of humor, combining dark comedy with farce and incorporating Jewish humor and elements of spoof. So some of the over-the-top sequences they decide to use, or shots or suggestions on how they go from beat to beat to beat, is trying to incorporate a lot of those elements. I think. Is that what you were saying a second ago?
I believe so.
Okay, so yeah, that's part of it. I think that you're thinking I wouldn't think this movie would be having these other elements, it's a spoof, it's a dark comedy, and those usually are trying to explore deeper themes.
Right.
So.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Matthew.
Okay. Rick Moranis is one of my goods and greats.
Yep.
He definitely carries the movie. The movie definitely gets weaker when Steve Martin leaves. There are catchy tunes in it. Suddenly Seymour's fantastic. I'm a Dentist is fantastic. The puppetry is fantastic even to this day.
Yeah.
Practical effects are really good.
Yes.
This is pre-Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, 86.
Yeah. Babe.
Wow, you are.
Awesome.
Okay, so going off of not just the music, because obviously it's catchy, it's bouncy. So just real quick, for those who don't know, if you know who Alan Menken is, I'm sure you do.
He basically composed the music for
a shit ton of Disney songs.
What I want to narrow that down. The Disney Renaissance. Do you know the Disney Renaissance? That's the 90s.
Yes.
He did all that music.
Yes, he did.
The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Hercules, Beauty and the Beast. That's all him.
Hunchback.
Yes, I forget
Yes.
about that one sometimes, but
And I we can argue about where the Disney Renaissance actually starts or ends, but he's responsible for it, especially like those first
those
three.
specific, that's
The
him.
Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. He did not work on Lion King, and I know it's because he was too busy working on other shit. For
Yeah, was that
Tim Rice?
Okay, yeah.
Tim Rice, because they work together on a lot of stuff. Howard Ashman, however,
That one I don't know.
You should, because he was the one who was a big part of why A Little Mermaid was so important.
Oh.
Because he did that one.
Okay.
He did Little Mermaid as well as Beauty and the Beast, and he started to write on Aladdin. Unfortunately, he passed away from complications from AIDS, I believe.
Oh.
Super fucking young. So, like, he got nominated. I think he was nominated for Academy Awards or won for those awards, whatever. But so, like, those are. He's responsible for a lot of the he's like the lyrics. Was the lyrics? I'm trying to look real quick. I had it up a second ago. He did the screenplay. My mistake. He did a screenplay for Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
So he's gonna be helping with the music as well, because I remember seeing it somewhere on there that he was part of the music too.
Of course.
And then of course Alan Menken is the one who is doing a lot of the composing, and I think Menken did the lyrics and Ashton did the compositions. I forget.
It could be the other way around.
Yeah, it could be the other way
Who
around.
knows?
So they work together on it, basically.
Right.
So yeah, and Howard Ashman was very pivotal in creating a lot of the sound that you know of for that Disney Renaissance that we talk about, the very beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
Had he not passed away, he would have obviously been still there for a lot of the rest of it. So, the music is amazing. It's not just the music though; it's the performances. And so for me, like Juice was asking me earlier off screen why I don't ever do Little Shop of Horrors for karaoke. But it's clear that I love a lot of those songs, and the reason is because a lot of them are ensemble pieces. It's really hard to do some of those songs if you're just singing by yourself, unless you're doing it with somebody else who also similarly knows a lot of the parts. A lot of them are done as part of scenes, but that's kind of like why this is also a really, really fucking good musical, because the music propels the story. It's not just I'm thinking of something and then a story happens or whatever. That's why one of the reasons actually why Somewhere That Green is kind of actually the weakest song in the movie, simply because it doesn't really do anything to propel the story. It does tell you her inner monologue, which happens in movies and musicals all the fucking time. It happens in this movie as well in other places. But it doesn't do a whole lot more to propel the action. The pacing actually kind of falls there a little bit. It doesn't help that the story is that song is actually a lot slower too. And there may be some like inherent, internalized misogyny that comes along with that as well, where she's talking about wanting this not even this cookie cutter. That's the kind of thing that's interesting about that song, and I kind of make sure I don't ignore, is that for the lyrics for that song, it's basically I want things. This is the life that I want, and it involves things. It involves having a Tupperware party, like being Donna Reed, and having a washing machine, and having this heteronormative relationship, having Pine Sol, specifically the brand Pine Sol. This sort of idea that specific capitalism is like her dream. It's a really good song, but it's also not a great one in terms of the rest of the way the musical works. It kind of sucks because it feels like it should have a better place in it than it does. But in general, though, just speaking to the music, it's fucking amazing. It does a really good job propelling that story forward. The performances are all fantastic. I can't think of a single weak one, honestly. And that's just one. Another good thing I really like is the use of the muses. I fucking love them in the background in general. But they have this very almost traditional role of being the muses, kind of almost like Greek theater sort of thing. And of course it being the doo-wop era, that's basically their whole bag. But I really, one of my favorite uses of them was the Summertime song. And it's just them kind of background, vocalizing, but it's also the use of the lighting. It's the use of their costumes as part of the background.
They are accentuating the menace that is coming with
yes
with what Audrey 2 wants to do, what Audrey 2 has implied.
Yes, it is them. It's like the shot. It's a shot of them and like their midsection of their arms opening up, similarly to his mouth opening up, similar to the way like a plant opens up when reaching out for the sun or for like food or whatever or something like that. Like the use of the shot from underneath when you see their like feet in the foreground as they're walking to the beat. In the background, you can see Seymour is the one who's actually in charge, even though Mushnick has the gun on him. Yeah. He's pushing him back towards the plant. Like, there's all these different layers that happen in this film that I wish you would fucking see, but for some reason you just refused it.
Not refused.
Yeah, if you say
don't, so. It's okay.
I'm pointing out all these different things, and I don't hear any like, I see that point, or not. Or like, if you're hearing any of it,
so
the
Summertime song is fantastic. It's a great build of tension.
Yes.
But when I don't have a lot of tension leading into the scene in the first place, you're trying to build all the tension into this one scene. It's okay.
Well, how so?
I mean, it just... You want the dentist to die, so there's no real tension there.
Well, you do, but you also understand Seymour is still he's still participating in murder to a certain extent. I mean, obviously, like, he died in his own, but he also, like, that's going to be a real hard sell for the police. Like, whether they even believe you or not, like, oh yeah, I know you didn't kill him, but you did go to his office with the intention of killing him, and then when he clearly was in distress, you didn't try to help him.
And how does I'm a Dentist propel the story?
It doesn't. It's just fun.
But you just said all the music propels the story.
I know I said most of it.
Oh.
I did say most of it.
Apologize.
Yeah.
So it's like...
No, that one's just a fun song. That's the difference, though, I think, is that his song is more bouncy, and so you're willing to forgive it, whereas the other song is a critique on capitalism that's done in a very slow manner that is showcasing the female perspective. Like, there's a lot of reasons why it's not going to be as much fun.
Yeah, but when you end it with them getting the 1950s heteronormal relationship...
That's the issue.
Is it really a criticism of that?
That's the issue. And keep in mind, remember, I just got finished talking about one of the main people who wrote the fucking movie in the first place, right?
Yeah.
The guy who died as a real complication of AIDS, who wasn't, like, homosexual, and it's like, so that wasn't necessarily, the heteronormative lifestyle was not something that he necessarily was trying to pursue. Like, there are a lot of elements to this film and to the original that we're trying to tell people, like, hey, this isn't the way that we should be living. However, for the success of this film to work, they had to change the ending.
So, first of all, the ending kind of ruins the message. And second of all, would I have known that he was homosexual and this was a criticism on heteronormal relationships without reading about him?
Why would you?
But if a movie's trying to push a message across, I shouldn't have to research who made it to understand the message that's getting across.
You think that, right? But keep in mind, the movie was made in the 80s. This is before the end of the Cold War.
I get that. But there are good movies in the 80s that get their message across that you have to think about, that really push your brain.
No. This is also supposed to be a dark comedy spoof. And so while they are trying to like highlight some of these things, they also know in order to get they made a movie, in order to get people to enjoy it, in order to get a lot of other stuff done with the film, they have to toe a line. That's kind of the reality. And so they like, no, this is the story we want to tell, and they do a very good job of telling it for the most part. It's the ending that suddenly kind of comes out of nowhere.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But I am willing to forgive it simply because it's still an action sequence that is engaging, and so it makes sense within the context to a certain extent. But I understand why you have an issue with it.
And what I hope you understand is that being with me for this long, you know how heavy I weigh the ending to the rest of the film.
No, I'm just curious as to if you didn't know that the rest of the ending, like all the other things that I pointed out, don't make the rest of the things. Like the ending happens, doesn't make any of the other stuff not true.
No, and you had points. I don't know if I agree with all those points, but you had some good points. There's some well-structured points. I still am not like super uber impressed by this movie.
Yeah, I still think that you're wrong. But
that's fine.
All right, so anyway,
there are times where I thought you were wrong, and vice versa,
yeah.
And that's the beauty of this series.
Except one of us is right and one of us is wrong, though. That's different. Anyway, so my other good... I love you.
I'm going to get this hostile when you disagree with one of my movies.
Don't you already?
Not this hostile.
You already are getting that hostile when you disagree with one of my fucking movies. You're doing it right now. All right. Anyway.
On to the bad.
No, I'm not done with my good. I think I might actually be done with my good, but like no, I really enjoy the writing, the performances, and like in all of the film. The editing. I think there's a lot of like and I mentioned already my puppeting. The puppetry is going to be my great. I already mentioned that, so I'll go more into that later. But that has to be stated. Like the practical effects. Mwah. All right, so bad.
Okay,
so the bad.
I'll let you two go first for this one.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna have a lot.
Probably.
Let's see.
Go out of your room.
The explosion at the
Go to
end,
your room.
for sure. It was just let's get it out. Let's get it out of the way. And that's probably because they changed the ending. So it's like let's just.
Well, I'm just curious, like what explosion would you need them to do in a 1986?
It doesn't have to be a goddamn explosion. Melt the puppet. Fire. It's electricity. It doesn't have to explode.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's other ways it could have died.
What way would they have done it using the practical effects of the time?
Honestly, I would have rather just burn the puppet, like char it, and
yeah, that's fine.
Like
that's absolutely
kill it.
Especially since it's a campy, spoofy movie.
Kill it
a
dead.
campy, spoofy death would have been fine.
Okay, so you understand that the puppet is not made out of plant material.
Yes.
So it's made out of foam and rubber. And
Yep.
so what do you think it's going to look like when they burn that compared to an actual plant? It would not look like an actual plant burning. It would look like fucking foam rubber burning.
Okay,
it's not going to work.
Okay, so do what he said and just char it.
Okay.
So have like this off-screen explosion where a flash of light on Rick Moranis' character or whatever climbing out of the rubble, and then pan back to the plant, all covered in soot and dirt and whatever from the explosion, like an old cartoon character reaching out for air, like.
Or you could spray,
and falls, and dies.
Or you can dirty it up, chip some of the leaves, some of the branches, whatever. Make it look like it actually got electrocuted instead of just blowing it up like the Death Star.
So here's the problem. What?
Before you continue, Strange has had 2 comments. I'm just going to read them real quick. Strange has said, 1, I hope kids born after my generation are or will be jealous because the Disney Renaissance and the rise of Pixar were my childhood. 2, Man Tully is not having a good time. And 3, it has to explode.
And this is why it has to explode. What was the whole point of him going in there to destroy the plant? Why?
To stop it from spreading.
And how? Do you know how cuttings work?
Okay.
You have to basically, if you have a cutting, it's because you have a piece of the plant left over and you're putting it into the dirt and you're allowing it to grow.
Right.
You don't have to have the head. You don't have to have depending on the plant, you should have like specific parts of the plant in order to do it. But the idea is that you just need a piece of the plant in order for it to continue growing. If they go in and they simply just blow it to pieces, that's not going to work. If they disintegrate it, which is basically what they do in this film, then it makes more sense. Now, does it make sense for him to electrocute it and then for it to explode and like literally to disintegrate in the way that it does? Absolutely goddamn not. It's a horror spoof comedy, and so I'm willing to let that shit go. Apparently, you guys are for some fucking reason. But the idea is that in terms of how they would do it in the studio to make it more seem like realistic or whatever for the time frame they had, for the information, for the technology they had at the time, I am not certain what they would have done that would have been better in terms of the whole rest of the flow of the film.
But here's the thing.
Some of these are going to don't make any sense, so I'm not sure they're going to be able to do this feasibly.
You're like, I can let it go. I don't know why you guys can't. Because when you give me a 3/4 of a Van Gogh painting with your puppetry up to the end, and then at the end you give me a goddamn stick figure of with happy macaroni and cheese on it, I'm not happy.
Okay, here's the other thing I think I'm figuring out here. What year were you born?
87.
What year were you born?
89.
I was born old enough to be able to watch this film not long after it actually came out. And so I am used to it. That's the difference. I think that's honestly what it is. You guys are used to a certain level in terms of like special effects when it comes to some of these movies. I honestly think I know you're gonna say the Star Wars.
I just said Star Wars.
That's different. That's a sci-fi western, whatever the fuck it is, where like you already have a whole bunch of explosions throughout the rest of the film, and they have been remastered to fuck since then too, because a lot of people weren't happy with those either.
Jaws' explosion is better than this one. And that has not been remastered.
But that's also a physical act. They also exploded something for real, like in the scene.
So why didn't you fucking do that here?
Because that would be much more expensive, probably, number one. And number two, because it still has the same problem. With Jaws, you blew up the shark's head and there's still a fucking shark left over afterwards. This was dead. If you blow up the plant, you still have cuttings everywhere.
Okay, but then guess what? For the ending that they have, which is a fucking plant shows up at the end and smiles at the camera like a fucking 80s slasher film.
No.
And to show that the killer is still there,
That is like...
I am not done. So it would make sense that cuttings are around. So it would have been fine because it would have made more sense for the plant to be there.
That is why it's not like an 80s slasher film. It's like a 1950s movie where it's like the end. Question mark?
Yes.
That's the whole point of this whole movie was a dark comedy spoof for the 1960s.
Yes. And
That's why
yet,
they allowed it.
if he wanted to make sense, there should be cutting somewhere to allow that plant to
There
exist.
is! That one!
No, it's disintegrated.
Apparently one piece got away! That's all it fucking
And that
takes.
is a horseshit excuse.
So is the end question mark! It was always a terrible way to end your movie, and they're making fucking fun of it!
I can't give it to you.
I'm doing. I'm just over here trying to like wait to get my shit in,
Alright.
brother.
Are we still on bad?
But look, here,
Yeah, it works out just as bad as
yeah,
we
we're still
argue.
on my bad. You're arguing my bad, which I appreciate. But at the end of the day, the majority of parts of this movie make no goddamn sense. Like, why the fuck is why is Steve Martin flying into the alley on his motorcycle?
Because comedy spoof.
Exactly. That's my
Okay,
that's
you
my
can't
point.
keep saying comedy spoof
Why the fuck
for the bullshit in a movie.
Yes, I
You
can.
can't rely on the genre to go with all the stupid shit.
Sometimes you can.
Yes.
No, it's not fair because
can.
because sometimes you can.
Well, then every time you say, why did they trip and fall when the killer's chasing them, I'm going to say, it's a slasher film. What do you expect?
That's a trope.
That's a trope. That's different.
So it's a trope of a spoof in comedy
it's
then,
not. You know
and I don't
what
like it.
tropes are? You know what tropes are, baby?
It doesn't matter. I don't like it.
Yes, it does.
You can't do unbelievable things and just say, oh, well, it's a spoof, and then not make it obvious that it's a spoof.
There's a guy who's clinging to the ceiling and fear.
It's okay, Tony. Mommy and Daddy aren't fighting.
That whole song, at some point, someone's actually clinging to illustrate. It's almost cartoonish. That's the whole point. That's what a spoof does.
Continue with your bad, Juicy.
Thank you. Yes. God, where did I leave off? Oh, Ari, you just gave me my reason to call stupid stuff in wrestling and upset Matt, and I'm just gonna say, 'cause wrestling?
Comedy spoof.
Oh, comedy spoof. Okay.
And now I'm gonna beat his ass and yell at you every time he does it.
I mean, that's your choice. Tally, come on, let's go.
Go, Charlie.
Let's see. Other bad.
You got it, baby girl. Come on.
I think personally, Ellen Green, is that her name?
Yes.
I believe
She's having a hard time.
I get what her character
Wish it was
is.
a good
I feel
bathroom
like
Go to your room, Charlie.
I think her performance.
Go,
I'm kind of on the fence with her at least. So here's the thing. When it came to her singing performance, I think she has a great voice.
All right, come on.
But I think she was definitely trying to keep
Go, Charlie.
the lisp and the accent, so it just
Go.
I didn't like it. It threw me off.
Oh, you're talking about like when she said certain lines in songs and like her voice sounded 100% different?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
God.
that like
No.
nothing again like her like I understand what her performance as Audrey is. Like I liked her performance as Audrey. The lisp, everything, the meekness, it's fine. That's for the character. And then when you get into the singing, it's like it kind of goes into a different range, but yet there's that it's
because she's been basically victimized and she's within herself. That's why she sounds so soft. And then when she's finally singing, she's actually able to express herself.
I mean, I understand that. I just
What?
Not everything has a deeper meaning. Sometimes it's just bad.
I mean, sometimes, but other times it actually has deeper meaning if you actually pay attention.
Stop.
And I paid,
when I do that, you're like, stop.
I
bad.
paid attention. I paid attention.
No, I know. But you also saw what I was talking about.
Yes.
He tried to argue, we're like, that's not true. Like, you gotta at least, you don't have to,
I don't
but he
buy
has
it.
knowledge.
I don't buy it.
That's fine. But I'm saying that that's what it is. But they're like, so like,
But Matt,
like that's a bad reason.
But Matt,
like, that's
horror
fucking
spoof,
reason.
comedy horror spoof.
That doesn't actually work for everything.
That's right.
It works for the things that it fucking works for.
Fucking
I think, and that's my bad. That is my bad.
No, here's the thing. My take on it is what I feel like was what they were actually going for. If you don't enjoy it, that's different. And so if you didn't enjoy it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, I don't feel like it's a bad because of that reason, but I understand why you don't enjoy it because it is, I never really liked her voice growing up either.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until I became older and understood, oh, okay, this is what they were going for.
Okay.
And so, like, I'm, again, like, not a big fan of it, but I understand the point they were trying to make.
Okay.
And so I accept it. But aesthetically pleasing, I understand why it would be hard to listen to, but it's not one of my bads.
That's fine.
Since we're going to skip Matt because he's already given so many of his bets. Anyway,
No, we're not going to just
Not
skip
skip- I'm
Matt.
not
No, you're gonna go
not
last.
skipping.
You are gonna
but
go last.
because he's already given us so many of his bets. He's going to add more later on. I'm going to go ahead and do mine. And one of mine is the fact that they did change the ending. And that's really hard for me to say because honestly, like, I've always loved this movie like from start to finish, and I still enjoy watching the ending. But I do dislike that they changed the ending, understanding the story they were trying to tell up until. So that's really honestly mostly my bad. I can't. I know there are other ones, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. If they come to me, I will by all means add them. Yes, there.
So, I hated the explosion at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Again, don't give me great puppetry just to fuck it up with a half-ass CGI rendering
CGI.
of an explosion over top of a layer of the actual film and then fade to black. It's not impressive. It looks like shit.
It's not CGI, but okay.
It's definitely not a real explosion.
No, I know.
No, if anything, they probably took it like from Star Wars and
Yeah.
just
Place it over,
exactly, because that's literally what it
Which
took.
is even worse, because now you're ripping off. Instead of a
We're-
Being done by Frank Oz, who worked on Star Wars.
He probably went to George Lucas and said,
Who works with Lucas.
Worked on Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, I'm gonna look this up.
That's-
That's what I saw. I'm looking at
that's still-
Frank Oz
that's-
specifically. He's actually worked with them on other stuff. So-
Yeah, didn't he help with like anything on Indiana Jones?
Possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, continue, Matt, while she's doing
Yeah,
research.
go ahead.
Strange said something as well.
It's Matt's hour of bad. I don't have an hour. But the bad is bad enough for me to just not really care.
Mm-hmm.
The beats are off. The music,
What beats?
a lot of the music blends. I know that's maybe some of the point that it's all just a continuous chorus line of music.
Yeah.
But that means nothing stands out.
That's fucking not true either.
Very few of these songs stand out to me.
The fuck are you talking about?
One song stands out to me. And it's the crescendo of the main climax of this relationship that we're watching build up in the first place. So that's why it stands out. Not because of the music, not because of the lyrics, not because of any creativity with voices or anything like that.
Hold on.
It's a very standard ABC style of music, which granted it's the 80s, so whatever. But it's not anything groundbreaking that blows my mind. Not like Sweeney Todd.
Alright, never mind.
Oh.
Everything you said right there.
What?
What?
Or Rent.
Which are both, aren't they both, not Tim Rice. Andrew Lloyd Webber?
I don't know if Sweeney Todd is Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Okay.
I will look that up. You guys continue.
Oh no, I have to look this up as well, because I can't with this.
What do you mean?
Not Server Todd.
See, and it's like...
Because you're talking about how none of the songs sound unique, or they blend together, like, all of Sweeney Todd's songs sound the same!
They do not!
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe not.
Sweeney Todd was Hugh Wheeler.
Oh, okay.
No, the songs sound different. A lot of songs in Sweeney Todd stand out to me as different and their own vehicle. That also drive the story forward.
Okay.
Now even Strange is turning on you. Stop it, Ari. Sweeney Todd has great music.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I didn't put that on the wheel anyway.
Go for it.
Honestly, it's fine. That's my thing, is that it's just fine. Nothing about this movie grabs me, sucks me in, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm really just more watching this movie. It's nothing. It's not an experience for me. It's an hour and a half. That's my bad, really, is that it doesn't grab me, and it's not that impressive to me.
Yeah. So disappointed in you.
So that I'm just gonna leave it at that as my bad.
So what do you expect out of this movie exactly? Like, what would make this movie better for you to actually like be immersed?
Well, the third act in general just has to be more energetic, more entertaining. You could have the damsel actually do something at the end to try to become an actual like person unto herself and know that she can do things on her own.
In the original film, she gets killed, and that's why what's his face goes in there to actually try and stop him. So she doesn't get a chance to do that.
Now, you said in the original film or in the original version of this film?
The original version of the story.
Right, so she dies in the original.
She dies. Like, everyone dies.
Right. No,
she dies in the original story.
Right.
Because her death is what like propels him to go do action. Propels like Seymour to actually try and kill the plant, and then he dies trying.
So then, because they rewrote the ending.
Yeah.
Well, and that kind of makes sense because this movie felt off from the moment he saves her.
I'll be honest, the movie has always felt off to me from the moment that Mushnick dies.
Okay.
Because now Seymour is in his own right, and they do a lot of this montage, like all this fame and shit is coming in like really quick. In fact, the song like "You're Gonna Get What's Coming to You," like there's a line that they actually leave out because they're just edited over it, so you don't hear like what's like, you know, me's gonna get it, you know, and you're a me kind of guy. That line gets left out because they just cut to the next scene, and that song, if you listen to it its entirety on like the original soundtrack, DVD or whatever, or CD, is much longer. Yeah. But they cut through really quickly to try to get to the end. Mm-hmm. So that part doesn't necessarily like bother me because I understand that was supposed to be the part of the point. It's a whirlwind that he is now kind of like coming to his own because he doesn't have much to kind of stop him anymore. And it's just all this shit's rushing at him and he has to try and deal with it he can. But as far as execution goes and editing and so forth, everything I think does a really good job up until that point.
Yeah. And part of it just feels like childhood bias a little bit.
For me?
Yes.
Why so?
It's a thing. Like you watch this.
You
first time you watched this movie, you were a kid.
Yes.
And enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yes.
And you had that feeling all the way up. And it's not a bad movie like Xenon Girl in the 21st Century, right, where we watch it when we're adults like this is trash.
Yes.
It's a solid enough movie. Like when I just started Land Before Time and I cried 10 minutes into it.
Yes.
You've mentioned that before.
As I'm 35 years old.
Yes.
Crying at a cartoon 10 minutes in. Mm-hmm. But that's because of my childhood connection to it.
Yes.
So it is a thing.
Well, I think it's not entirely your childhood.
So I think it's inflating it a little bit.
Well, no. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead to your point.
I just think it's time to move on to the ugly.
No, I have to adjust your
But you can respond. You have 90 seconds to respond, Senator.
I will take whatever time I need. I will try to take much longer than 90 seconds. But I understand that some of this might be biased. It is the reason why I love this movie, and I've watched this movie as many times. Sometimes because it's just that fucking good. Like, I watched JFK when I was 12. That's also a childhood bias, but it's also a fucking fantastic film.
Well, that film, yes, that's a really good film. Now, I wouldn't, again, when I watched it when I was older, I wouldn't put it as like one of the greatest of all time, but it's a good
But there's
film.
a reason why it has like 5 or 7 fucking like Academy and like awards and
and I get
all that stuff.
I would still watch A Few Good Men before JFK.
That's fine. You can do that. That's movie I watch before JFK, but I'm not always going to watch it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think JFK. I'm sorry. I think honestly, most of the time, yes, I would probably watch Few Good Men before I would watch JFK, simply because I think that those the end sequences, like usually, like it's honestly the the finale that really makes it for me. And JFK is a longer film.
Yeah.
But but that doesn't mean that it's not still a good film.
No.
And I'm biased for loving it because I watched it when I was a kid.
And I never said this was a bad film. Keep that in mind. I never said this was a bad film.
It feels like when you say it's okay, it feels like you're saying it's bad.
Now you know how it feels. But yes, that's how it's an okay film. It's just like when you are done with the movie and you're like, it's alright. Yeah. That's exactly how it feels when we're excited about a movie and you hit us with that. It's the same thing. It's okay.
Okay, that's fine. You're still...
That's fair. But just remember, vice versa. Same thing.
Here's I think where I would like go in as well is that they had the option to do more with Audrey in the rewrite.
Audrey 2 or Audrey 1?
No, Audrey.
Okay.
Audrey, the actress Audrey.
Okay.
They had the choice to do more with her, considering they rewrote that entire ending, but they chose not to do anything and just have Rick Moranis go in gung ho and try to stop the monster by himself. And which I understand from the storytelling aspect, because this is my fault. I created this monster. I need to go stop him by myself.
I'm just confused as to if you expect them to rewrite the whole fucking story when they realize they're going to rewrite the end and give her more shit to do.
Straight says, laugh my ass off. It's alright is the most devastating phrase to excitement.
But I get what you're saying, but it's like, at that point, I'm not certain what they would have done differently. I understand your point. Mm-hmm. Because if they're trying to maintain this idea, because they try up until the end, where they're trying to show this dichotomy of both like expectations for masculinity and femininity and how toxic they are. And then at the end, you have him basically rising to this like prototypical male hero character, and she is the damsel. But we spent the entire film talking about how those roles are damaging, but he ends up winning because of them, whereas she merely survives. And so I understand, like, you would possibly want to see her take on more of another role. I'm not certain what they would have come up with in the time frame that would have matched their both respective characters' developments, seeing as how her prototypical role was to be so weak in the first place.
Yeah.
That's kind of a problem. They're not going to be able to all of a sudden make her into this, like, you know, Ellen Ripley style character where she carries Seymour out at the end or whatever or something. Like, I mean,
that would have been cool.
It would have, but that's not what
that's the art they developed.
Or an even more like progressive thought is that neither of them can kill Seymour alone. So they have to work together.
He can kill Audrey.
Or Audrey too.
Audrey too.
Neither of them can kill Audrey too alone. So they both have to work together to kill them, which makes them even more made for each other. Which then it would be great to end on a happy note there.
That was that's my whole point, was that they couldn't. That her arc does not allow her to have more agency than she already has. That's kind of the problem. That's not how arcs work.
Well,
you have to build up to that. And so her arc is
if you're in an abusive relationship and you're in this abusive relationship, but it's a relationship, and the whole relationship they're saying you ain't good for nothing except following my orders, and then at the end you find out that following your own orders is actually more beneficial to you. That is an arc.
That's true. You're right.
So I don't think it can't happen that way.
I think the problem is that it was a time management thing. It's simply because when they're reshooting it, what are they going to come up with in the meantime? Because I don't know where Mean Green Mother came from. Because that is unique to this specific
version
show.
of the movie.
And so, like, that musical sequence is there for a reason. Like, it got nominated for Academy Awards, so they feel like they had a win with this one.
It's original.
It's original,
It's because it's original.
It's also very self-contained, because it's basically just Audrey kicking Seymour's ass
pretty
the
much.
whole time.
It's to give the illusion that the villain is going to win.
Yeah.
Up until... Which kind of could go back into my bad, but it's like the building falls on Seymour.
Yeah, that's my bad.
So if I go back to my bad,
it's a campy spoof.
No, I get that, but there are limits.
There are a lot of there is some plot convenience.
I can allow a lot, but that one
was a specific plot convenience. I can't remember what else specifically that came to mind. I was like, Mushnick finding out that he killed the dentist.
No, that's I guess, but like that's
Like
Why was he there?
because he lives there.
Does he?
Yes,
That is not clear.
That was never made.
they live.
It's
in
his business.
Yeah.
And Seymour lives there.
No, Seymour
made-
Seymour lives across the street.
Oh, I thought he lived in the basement.
He lives in the basement, I think, of the shop. But I always understood that Mushnick lived. Like he probably owns.
You know what?
So here's the thing: he probably owns the building.
Yeah, probably.
And that's the whole. And what we, I think about until I watched this movie this time was, why would you have a flower shop in Skid Row in downtown? Because it wasn't always Skid Row. You don't put a flower shop in the middle of fucking Skid Row. Skid Row comes up around you, and you decide eventually, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of here. And that's what happens until Audrey 2 shows up.
Yeah.
So he probably owned that building, which is also going into like history of like immigrants and everything, blah blah blah. And it had this flower shop, and then the neighborhood went to shit.
And then poverty.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like how Crime Alley wasn't always Crime Alley, but it's Crime Alley because that's where Batman's parents died.
I get that.
So, but
it's not clear that he lives.
No,
in
it
the
wasn't.
building.
It wasn't maybe that was made clear, but I always kind of, for some reason, understood that's what it was.
See, I never understood that because at some point he closes up shop and says, "You're going to stay here and take care of this plant," and he leaves.
Because he probably lives across the street or in the same building. He goes up another step or whatever.
So, and nothing's clear.
It still felt.
It's convenient that he's there.
It felt a little.
I think it would be better understood how Skid Row operates, like in terms of like the economic history of that area,
or
where
it
exists in America.
Or if they had even written in a line somewhere.
I'm going across the street. I'm going home or something.
I'm going upstairs to call it a day or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere earlier in the movie that could have been made clear. That wasn't made clear. So how convenient for him to show up when Seymour's killing the dentist. Not only that,
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night with a bright ass light showing his shadow.
No,
which is possible because it happens in the city.
Yeah.
I don't know how the city works like that, but
I think it's more of that one. I'll actually give the comedy spoof.
Yeah.
Because that was literally there to show him something's going on over here.
Yeah.
But then he looks through the gate to see what's going on because the shadow obviously shows something's going on.
Right.
But in realism, he has to look through the gate because that shadow wouldn't be there.
No, well, he has to look through the gate to see what the fuck and who it is because that shadow is just a shadow. He has no idea what's happening, and then he realizes, oh my god, it's Seymour. He freaks out and bounces. I am just confused though as to the fact that you guys are willing to like oh yeah, because he lives. That I don't understand. That's unclear. He carried a body on the subway.
That's the one. That's
actually,
shit. Y'all just get crazy.
I
have a reason.
Remember.
I have a reason.
Yes, please. Okay, that's not what I'm watching the scene of this happening. Like, wait, he's in a car.
Is it horror comedy?
He is dragging it down the subway step. You did not take a fucking body on the goddamn.
Right.
And then no one said anything because crime and air and decay, no one gives a shit about each other anymore. They're not paying a fucking attention. He's stepping over homeless people's bodies as he's on his way to this house.
I didn't see it. I don't say nothing because I didn't see it. That's basically what it is.
Yes.
But is your answer horror comedy spoof, Matt?
No.
No, of course not. Anyway,
there is an urban legend that I've heard of.
Really?
Oh wow. Okay.
A man gets out of New York subway, which I have always assumed this is New York.
I thought it was more Philly, honestly.
It feels New York.
It's definitely East Coast.
Yeah, definitely East Coast.
That's fair. But anyway, a man gets on a New York subway at the start of the line and dies very early on.
Yeah.
He then rides the subway for 3 more days.
Yeah.
Before anyone notices because of the smell.
Yeah.
So, in that frame, and this has been a running gag, not just with people dying on the subway, but just with New Yorkers being completely unaware of their surroundings, or anything else that's going on. It's been done in reality TV shows where they actually test the theory in real life, and it's been proven kind of true.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me.
I don't think it's necessarily New Yorkers. I think it's just the idea.
Bustling cities, they don't pay attention to.
It's a commentary in itself on urban decay.
Yeah. Which is why that part doesn't bother me at all. I get that.
I see that. I understand. I am far more likely to send the dragging a body down the subway steps than I am the presumption that the man who owns a business in a decaying Skid Row neighborhood does not live fucking nearby.
Okay. Alright, so
are you done with your bad now? Because I'm done with like.
I was way done with my bad. I was ready to move on to ugly.
Ugly.
Let me.
Sure, yeah.
I trigger warning for domestic abuse. Other than that, I have no ugly for this film.
Yeah.
The same.
Oh, except for the final explosion.
It's not really.
It's ugly. I'm gonna bring it up in every negative way I can. It's bad.
My ugly. I know I had more than one. The first one is seeing it in 2024 with. I get the hints of some kind of tentacle fetish.
Okay.
You know, like I know that's not the intention, but it is there. It is present, especially when Audrey discovers that Audrey 2 is alive.
That's specifically in that scene. I don't remember seeing other places.
No, specifically in that scene, and you know, it's like you see other stuff in other media, and you don't think about it. Sometimes you do think about it. Spoilers for Evil Dead. Just I'll leave it there. For The Evil Dead, let me rephrase that. The Evil Dead. So yeah, the other one, right, was the changing of the changing of the ending for the sake of, you know, making money.
Yeah.
For capitalism.
So I will.
How they changed the ending of an anti-capitalism movie for capitalism.
Yep. Welcome to Reagan's America.
That's a beautiful.
Anyway,
thank you.
So I will agree with the ugly of the changing at the ending. I will point out, and I don't know if I necessarily find this as an ugly because I understand that it has a purpose, but I also am not certain how I feel about it being there or how its use of it. The tentacle fetish or the tentacle uses at the end, specifically with regards to Audrey is allegory for sexual assault.
Okay,
and he uses the line, "Come on, doll, it'll be easier if you relax," and that is very much indicative to me of someone who is participating in date rape.
Yeah.
A tentacle fetish, that should be in the great category, not the ugly.
Actually, the other moment was...
Strange did say something after that, but I just didn't see what it was.
There was another moment, and I don't mean, and I apologize for interrupting, but the one I'm thinking of is when Seymour first discovers Audrey 2 is alive, and Audrey's just kind of wrapping himself around him and like got his vine up his vest, very just
erotic.
Yeah. Oh, I never felt that way about it.
No, it is.
Okay. But I mean, it is, I guess, a sort of way of mine, a form of violation, like the kind of like almost grooming sort of thing. Like it doesn't seem like it's a problem necessarily.
No, I know. I was
being trolly.
Yeah.
It is. I can see it as like, I will put it as a form of grooming, in that it's a violation.
Yeah.
And it's so, to me, it was almost kind of like obsequious, like we're just like, you don't really pay attention to it. But it's like, I'm going to push my boundaries and see what you say about it. And he doesn't really do anything about it. In fact, actually, as time goes on throughout that song, because this is the Feed Me song, right?
Yes.
And at some point, he is agreeing with, he's like, you know, starting to think about, maybe I could use a car. Maybe I could use a motorcycle. I can use all the things you're talking about. And then at some point, he's like, no, I don't want to kill anybody. And then he realizes, well, I will kill that guy though.
It's like, isn't there somebody in particular you
and
want?
So it is. It could be
somebody standing in your way.
No, yeah, it could be seen as a form of actual like grooming a little bit, because he starts off pushing boundaries and then finally gets him to come along with him on doing something he knows he shouldn't fucking be doing. So yeah, good call, good catch there. I mean, and I don't know if I call that an ugly for me, because it's a theme that they are using specifically. But I also understand its ugliness in that it's, if you don't understand the context, then it's easy to either ignore it or to be too hyper focused on it, to sexualize it, when I don't think necessarily that was the point they were going for.
It's an ugly for me, probably because I have a bad tendency to sexualize a lot of things. Like when we go back to the Chipmunk Adventure, and you know, you refer, and the whole Elvis thing with the snake, and I see that, but the times that we live in now, where the internet has, where you see a lot of things on the internet that you probably shouldn't see, and I feel like that's one of those. That is a very particular kink which I've never been a fan of. I think it's disturbing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's there, it's present, and it's kind of growing.
I think that it's, given the context in that this film was made very much before, like,
all of that.
Yeah,
no, I understand that.
I feel like it's, I would not view it as ugly. However, I would create, like, I would say a kind of a trigger warning or something like that with regards to its imagery.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
right.
yeah.
So on to our greats. I will start here as well.
I'm gonna start because you guys have both started.
Oh,
I'll
I'm sorry.
start.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start because I already kind of told you guys what my grade was gonna fucking be, and my grade's the goddamn puppetry.
Mm.
I realized watching this time around how fucking amazing it was.
Yeah.
And this is all pre CGI.
Yeah.
This is all just like the facial features for this for this plant, right?
Yeah.
And it became like even more like obvious for me in the scene at the end where Andre 2 is calling Audrey 1 on the phone. And he's sitting there and you see the plan, he's thinking this thing through, and he moves over and then like he actually reaches out and he pulls himself forward over to the phone he sees, and they go through the step of him stealing a quarter out of the change box, putting it in there, and then tapping his fingers as he waits for her to answer. One of the tendrils is twirled around the phone cord while it's in there holding it, and then checks for the change in the phone booth afterwards. Like, that whole fucking sequence, none of that shit was necessary, and yet it's absolutely needed.
Fantastic.
Because it helps create, this thing is fucking real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is that level of detail and nuance that, one, a lot of movies in general, let alone then or now, are just lacking. Like, just don't appreciate and refuse to honor. And then on top of that, just because of, it's not even a level of detail, it's a level of detail, and then you're also doing this animatronics.
Yeah.
This shit is hard, it's complicated, it's expensive. Which is why they don't do it anymore, and it sucks!
Yeah.
My fucking great, all of the things I love about this film, all these I've always like sang the songs and like remember, I never ever appreciated the puppetry as much as I did right this fucking minute today.
Mm-hmm.
Until we're actually sitting around analyzing and I realized, wow, that's goddamn amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So no, that's my fucking great.
Alright. My grade is this movie is worth a single watch alone for the Bill Murray cameo. That entire scene is amazing.
It's fantastic.
And hilarious.
Yes.
And it turns expectations on its ear. There's a lot of layers to it. Because you have Rick Moranis listening to everything happening and his reaction. You have the fact that this guy likes pain, so he wants to be there. And the dentist is actually sickened by that because he's a sadist who wants the pain.
Not only that, but he's getting frustrated with every little thing that he's doing to try to inflict more pain. And he's just like, you got something else? Bring it.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of layers to the comedy of that scene.
Not only that.
And it's really worth the watch.
So I noticed Murray's very pale in that scene.
Yeah.
Which is a choice. It is a very distinct makeup choice.
Yeah.
Which I also appreciate. Because I'm used to, like, you could tell when somebody's very light-skinned. And Bill Murray has never looked that white.
Yeah.
I was going to say also one of the things I thought was interesting with this scene was you have a sadist with a masochist.
Yep.
And, I mean, maybe there'd be some reasons why those two would go together, but the problem isn't just so much that he's a sadist, it's the lack of consent.
Yeah.
That's the issue. That's the reason why he lives on the fact that not only is this cause someone pain out of pleasure, and like that's not okay. I want to only be able to cause someone pain. They're not allowed to experience pleasure, just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throughout his entire opening sequence, he is forcibly going up to his patients and just basically doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
they have to take it.
You're
they
a
have-
dentist, so I trust you.
Yeah. Well,
not even
trust
that.
you.
No, not even that. But like, it's like, I'm just here for a cleaning. No, you're getting a root canal. What?
Well, or they might be going in for a root canal, but he's not doing anything to mitigate their pain.
Yeah. When he busted up the drill with that one patient, he's like, I'm not numb.
Yeah. That he still needs to probably be drilled, but like the idea is that I'm not numb. I'm going to experience pain that I'm not wanting to experience. Like, that's too fucking bad.
Yeah.
My pleasure comes from you feeling pain.
Yep.
And the problem is that it's also a lack of desire to want that pain. That's the issue. They're trying to avoid it, and he doesn't want them to. With Bill Murray's character, he is actively seeking it out.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for
Yeah.
Steve Martin's character, which is a unique decision, and I'm glad they put it in there, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's my grade.
I love how like he goes in and he already he's already like putting cotton in his mouth.
He's doing his job.
He's already getting ready.
he's talking about, I went to his doctor on Wednesday, and he referred me from somebody that I usually see on Monday, and like that person referred me from somebody I see every other Sunday, or on Sundays or whatever. Like, how many times do you go back to the fucking dentist in a month, bro?
Oh, my favorite. So that is also my grade. That entire sequence. One of my favorite lines that he says was, "I saved up." He said,
All month.
"I saved up all month for this."
Yeah.
Because he knew what was coming, and he wanted to have enough to pay for the experience.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have any, like, wow.
So that's my grade.
That is my grade as well.
All right.
All right.
But also the puppetry. Like I am very damn impressed by the puppetry. Again, when Audrey 2 first comes to life, and it's they are talking to Rick Moranis. If they didn't remaster it, holy fucking shit! Because there's a lot of movement involved in the body of the puppet, not just the mouth.
When they remastered, they're not remastering it to make they're not reshooting anything.
No, they're not
It's
reshooting.
just remastering the film, like to make.
But they could. Okay, so a perfect example, and we kind of see it. We've seen it with the Star Wars films, especially the original trilogy. Is they're remastered, but they also improved the graphics.
That's different. That's not like remastering. Traditionally, has been about increasing saturation or lighting or something like that,
Right.
coloring, blah 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 blah. If you choose to then add other stuff like graphics or whatever, that's different. But remastering usually has nothing to do with graphics. That's not a given. That's just something that Star Wars has done because they want to take liberties with it because Lucas is perfectionist and wasn't happy with what he had with technology at the time.
Fair enough.
That's not what happened in this film. They fucking remastered it the way they usually are gonna fucking remaster it. Just means everything just looks saturated, like better coloring. That's it.
Okay, well.
But everything else, all the puppetry, all the different nuances
Well,
of like
again,
the mouth being moved, that shit was already there. They didn't change.
No, the
anything.
mouth moving I got, but
all the puppetry.
there is a level of detail that they put in the features of the mouth.
Yes, that was not changed by remastering. That was always
Okay,
there.
then holy shit, because god damn,
Yes.
it's so intricate.
Yes, that's also why I think they got an Academy Award nomination.
So,
And I don't know what the fuck they lost it to, honestly.
all right, so that's
we're
it.
on
Score
Yes.
out of 10.
7.5.
Okay,
I'm gonna let you go first.
I am at a 6.75.
Wow, you are a terrible human being.
It
Alright,
is slightly better than the Exorcist movie we just watched.
12 out of 10.
12 out of 10.
I have to weight it according to you guys, yeah.
No, that's not. No, give it your
You
score
see, no.
independent of us.
10 out of 10.
No, you know damn well it's not a 10 out of 10 movie. Stop it. Get some help.
So what did we watch? Oh, okay. So you can't do what you did with Infested.
I understand that.
No dog died in this movie.
No, I know. I am challenged by the idea that this is somehow only okay, but it still is just slightly better than the fucking Exorcist movie we just got finished watching, which was terrible.
I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was pretty good.
Ugh.
It creeped me out. I was fucked up for like 30 minutes and 45 minutes after it.
My score is this is a movie I can go back and rewatch and enjoy. I'm kind of basing it off of your
Scale, yeah.
Off of your scale a little bit.
No, that's
because
fine.
once you get to a certain high point, you say like you can't you can't watch it again for a while.
Some movies it's hard to rewatch.
Right. This to me, I can watch this again, and it's fine, and it's fun, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's what I'm basing my score on.
So you sticking with 10 out of 10?
Are you sticking with 6.75?
Yes. Are you really gonna weight it to change the overall score and be unfair in this whole point of the show?
I'm thinking.
I really don't think you should.
I know. I understand that. I am still thinking.
I'll make sure that I do higher scores for my movies that I like.
I know. You already do.
I do not. I don't over-exaggerate it to negate your score.
No, you don't. But you do over-exaggerate them and then rethink them.
But not to negate anyone's score. You're doing it to negate score.
I am. You're right. So I'm trying to rethink my scoring, but it's having a hard time because I really just don't know what I would give it because I'm really excited about it.
Okay.
And so
sounds like an 8.5 or a 9 out of to me.
Maybe
an 8. Maybe an 8.
Yeah, I don't know if I would give that high.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know. I'm rethinking about it. I
All
was
right.
looking something up. I forgot I was looking up though.
Well, while you
were looking up what did it lose from the Academy?
Thank you.
So while you think about it, look that up.
Mm-hmm.
Stream it, buy it, don't bother. Rent it.
This is a buy.
Okay.
I say this is a buy because this is a cult classic.
Yes.
Okay.
This is one of those movies that while it didn't do so well in the box office, it has a following, and because it has a following, it earns a special place in a collector's collection.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Okay. What did it lose to?
Aliens.
Oh yeah. Special effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking deserves that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Visual effects, but yeah.
Yeah. No. It loses.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I know. Like, oh, well, I was like, what? Oh.
You want to talk about a 12 out of 10?
Yeah.
Get away from her, you bitch.
All right. So I'm gonna stream it. If you want to buy it after that, it's a cult classic for a reason.
Yeah.
There is a cult of people, and when you say cult, that means the minority.
Yeah.
Of people who seriously enjoy this movie.
Well,
to the level of Ari.
I would say that with a 91% Rotten Tomato score and, with an 81% Metacritic and an A- on Cinema score, and I think it's a little bit more at that point, but...
I think a lot of that is nostalgia.
I
Strain says
I doubt it.
7.75 out of 10, so he's 1 point higher than me. And Strain says Alien is like a 6 out of 10. We gotta have Strange on here. At some
Wait,
point.
he said Alien is in the first Alien?
I don't know if he meant the first or the second. That is way too low and stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, have you thought of where your score
I'm
landed?
going to put it at 8.5.
8.5.
Okay, there we
all
go.
right.
Now, where do you land on the?
Oh, on it.
Okay.
Fucking on it.
14.75 plus 7?
I said 7.5.
7.5.
21.25.
22.5 divided by 3, so it's a little over a 7.
That's about 7.
7.5, which is about where IMDb lands it. So
I'm willing to live with that.
we're about there. But that's the thing. When you're talking about a cult classic, you're going to have somebody who's going to absolutely love it, adore it, and see nothing wrong with it. You're going to have someone who really enjoys it, but sees some issues with it, and then you're going to have the person who just doesn't get it.
Well, that would indicate that 66% of people who enjoy it versus 33%, and that's not what happens. But okay, that's fine. Whatever. I understand.
Woo! Ari's feeling a little spicy tonight. All right, so we've gone through everything.
Go for me.
I think it's time to spin the wheel.
Sure.
And find out what we'll be watching tomorrow.
I'll say next week. That's right.
Hey.
So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, here's the spin. Wheel of Morality, turn. Tell us a lesson that we should learn. Wow.
What do we got?
Okay, so it was close to 1.
Like a scary movie or
So,
or
tomorrow.
a spoofy scary movie?
No, tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
we are going to be watching
Uh-huh.
the 2000s Alien teen horror feature, The Faculty.
Oh my god.
Oh,
For...
that's
I don't even think it was like
fantastic.
99 or something. That's on high
No,
school.
that's.
I think it's early
I
2000s.
think it's early 2000s because
Um,
Josh Hartnett's in it, and he was like already like in his early 20s. Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I know.
A very teenage Elijah Wood.
I know. I thought
You 98.
Yeah, I'm the same age as Elijah Wood. I thought I saw Elijah Wood in high school.
So I was wrong. 98.
Thank
Late
you.
90s.
Crazy.
I apologize.
That's crazy. Jordana Brewster.
Yeah, Jordana Brewster's the love interest in
Yeah, I
that
totally
movie.
forgot she was in that movie. But no, yeah, I'm the same age as Elijah Wood.
God, everyone's in this fucking movie.
Just about.
John Stewart's in there.
Yeah.
Patrick shows up.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does. He's the coach.
Of course he is.
Oh,
God. I'm actually excited. I haven't seen that movie in a while. I've been watching
I don't think I've seen that film since it came out.
I don't think we've ever watched it together.
Maybe not. I haven't seen it since I saw it in theater when it came out.
Wow. So tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we're going back to high school.
All right.
Scary style.
Ew.
The Faculty it
We're watching
is.
The Faculty.
Oh, well, the heady days of pre 9/11, the late 90s when they were still open the world.
Yep.
So that'll be fun tomorrow. That's a good pick. That's a good deep cut.
Yeah, it is.
And then we have one more pick after that, correct?
Yep.
And we're done.
Well, next Wednesday, yep.
Okay. Whew! Alright, so that was a spicy one. Thanks for joining us. I'm sure me and Ari will disagree again.
Yep.
And I'm sure at some point, Juice is going to get fed up with both of us and come in. So...
I mean, look, if I could, I would. But when it comes to you two, I got nothing.
We're both very passionate about the film.
But it isn't that. It's also the context that you bring, because you have such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to certain topics that I'm just waiting to get my little jabs in. So
I like thinking about films, because everything that's in a film is done intentionally.
That's true. That's absolutely
That's because but everything that's done intentionally may not necessarily always have a good reason.
And that's completely fair. Sometimes I do and don't think about them all the time, which is fine. But that just goes to show where I am when it comes to watching movies.
I like, for example, like I use the example with Little Shop. Like, I've watched this movie a bunch of times. I haven't seen it in a while, but I grew up watching this movie. I love it. I know it. I've never once appreciated until today as much as I probably should have the level of nuance with regards to the puppetry.
Oh no, of course, I completely understand that.
That is because we're sitting here now analyzing it. Up to this point, it's just been me enjoying it, and now even now watching a movie I've seen 1,000 times, I can still learn something new from it.
That's absolutely true. I'm more so referring to just the certain debates topics or things that you guys debate about is where I can't really jump in because I don't really know what to say about it.
We gotta help you figure out a different way of coming at it. Then we want you to be evolved and want you to think about it in different ways as well.
Yeah.
So and we have plenty of time because who knows how long this series is going to continue on for.
But I've noticed that all of our scores, no matter how different they are, no matter how much we disagree, anything like that, we've landed pretty close to the IMDb every time.
I think another thing too is I have to take a realistic view on what I'm watching and develop a ranking, a scale based on my level of enjoyment as well, because the highest I've given them so I gave Coming to America a 9 when that's purely from my enjoyment of the movie when I probably could have given it a lot lower. I believe the only other movie I gave a very high score to was something we all gave a really high score to, which was Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
And that's because of how nuanced that film is for a creature featured like Godzilla.
Yeah.
So I have to really set realistic expectations when it comes to certain films. This film, granted, I know of it. I've heard some of the music. I enjoyed it fine.
Yeah.
And I'm good with the 7.5. I think that's a realistic score for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, I think and I'm growing as we go. We've been doing this now for what, 4 months, 4 or 5 months,
22
probably
weeks.
longer. And it's for me. I think it's still a little bit. 5 months. So it might still be a little early for me, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And I'm having. I think a lot of times I'm just having a good time watching you two argue.
Well, hey, as long as you keep enjoying it.
I'm getting what the audience is missing.
The facial features.
Yes. I'm just here enjoying. I'm just here for the tea.
Okay, alright. I'm mad at it. Alright, so we are going to call it here for No Collar Entertainment. This is Matt.
There I am.
This is Juice.
And this has been... Oh! Hold on.
Oh.
Strange Enigma's Vindication, because I have to give him his vindication. You're going to have a hard time getting me to put a horror film higher than 8 because I hate horror films because I am a scaredy cat. So all horror is dropped by 2 points. So it's actually giving Alien an 8 out of 10, which is fine.
Don't worry, dude. I got to watch them argue after Matt killed Ari. So
It was an accident.
We were playing D&D, and Matt almost tried to
I
kill
told
me.
you to cover your ears.
On the wrong fucking action.
I told you legitimately to cover your ears because it's coming.
You... On the wrong action! You told me way earlier than it actually happened.
Okay, so we're gonna have this discussion off stream, so I'll find out about it
6 seconds
later.
before it happened.
In-game 6 seconds, however, that's not the same thing.
For
You
No
pay
Collar
attention.
Entertainment,
That's
that's
how it
Matt.
works.
That's Arian.
That's Ari.
I'm Juice.
We're out.
Bye.
Remember to feed and water your plants.
You need to cover your ears when I tell you to cover your ears.
I fucking did.
You did it.
I absolutely did.
I told you to do it, and you did not do
I literally
it.
did